I'm gonna try something new today. I'm gonna video blog and I'm gonna read from my notes. So we'll see how it goes. Reading for the continuation of my Bible study on Matthew. Starting with chapter 8, verses 18 through 22. Excuses, excuses. Verse 18. Well, I mean that's it. I mean it. What, you may ask? Well, Jesus saw the crowd around him and told his disciples to ready the boat to cross to the other side of the lake. Jesus was moving on even though people were pressing in on him. But is that the whole story? Jesus, I mean, did he just share his compassion with a select few? Was he setting the people up for a grand finale? Why leave now? Sometimes I wonder if the crowds were only, if they only cared about the healings and the miracles and not about the one they approached who had such great power. Did their own pursuit of healing show a lack of care? Did Now, don't get me wrong, there is not any reason to avoid seeking the healing touch of God. There is, however, proper motivation. Take Psalm 51:16 and 17, for instance. God doesn't delight in sacrifice unless it really, truly is a sacrifice. He did not just sit around wondering about the next leg of lamb dish being prepared for him as an offering. God was looking at the heart of the giver. If these people approached Jesus without love, but only in selfish desire, then they sought him only because of their love for miracles. Jesus was not a miracle worker in that sense of the word. Jesus doesn't just want to perform a miracle in our lives. He is seeking to complete us. And in this point, I kind of agree with C.S. Lewis in his book, Mere Christianity, in chapter 9. I recommend reading it. He says the following: dozens of people go to him, God, to be cured of some one particular sin which they are ashamed of, or which is obviously spoiling their daily life. Well, he will cure it all. He will cure it all right, but he will not stop there. That may be all you asked, but if once you call him in, he will give you the full treatment. That is why he warned people to count the cost before becoming Christians. Jesus doesn't want to stop with a simple miracle. He has much more planned for us and wants to give us a full experience of who he is and who he wants to be within us. And this will lead us into a complete transformation in us. It leads us to a full transformation. Now, don't go to Jesus just for a small thing and think that's where he'll stop. He wants our whole life, and he will pursue us with a passionate love to get it. Just look at how he deals with the two men who approached him in the verses that we're reading today. This man said to the first man, the teacher of the law, he said, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." Following is one thing when you know where you're going. Following Jesus has its cost. I mean, it could cost you your popularity. It can cost a loss of friendships. It could be a loss of your leisure time. Maybe even a loss of treasured habit as one commentary puts it. Could you sacrifice these to follow him? I know this is true because I had a friend that literally came up to me, put his finger in my chest, says, "We can't hang out anymore. We can't hang out because we're not like you and you're not like us. You're not one of our kind." You talk about hurtful. You see, Jesus did not have a place to call home, and following him was not something you did if you were looking to have a raise in your popularity status. And even today it's not. Is that what this teacher wanted? I can't be sure, but I can tell you that he probably didn't count the cost, or he wouldn't have gone before everybody and said this big announcement that, "Hey, I'm going to follow you, Jesus." And then you have the next disciple, and he puts it this way: "Lord, first, let me go and bury my father." Was this man's dad dead, or was this man on dad's on the deathbed? I don't know, but whatever the reason, this man wasn't really ready to commit himself to Christ. And I was studying these notes from a seminary professor, and who said it takes great courage to follow God's plans in God's way. This man that came to Jesus was ready to add addendums to his commitment to Jesus. The problem here is that we must commit all, not just some of ourselves. There are 90 excuses to not follow Christ. Jesus comes first in all things, and then we can take care of those human loyalties that we have. Jesus doesn't say you can't have your loyalties, you can't have friends and all that. It's just he has to come first. Following Jesus means that there are some securities we're going to have to willingly set aside. This is where our heart is truly revealed. If we cannot lay something aside for the sake of Christ, then we have to ask ourselves, do we love it more than Him? Can we give up time to take His word of life, His message, to a dead world? So I leave you these questions today. What loyalties are competing for your attention? Are they keeping you from following Jesus? Do you need to rearrange your priorities? Where is your heart? And finally, are you being the person that God made you to be? I just hope you enjoyed this video segment, and we'll see where it goes from there. Have a great evening.